this is Trena at John's Furniture Repair, and here with a really nice little project today. It's a little plant stand that a customer has brought to us to refinish. We're just going to be doing a nice cleanup back to the original, and it's a really beautiful piece. Let me show you some details. Okay, so it is an oak plant stand and kind of a arts and crafts with a twist leg thing going on. It's really pretty. It's got a little bit of water damage, as most of them do. And we're just going to be refinishing, taking all the finish off and bringing it back to the original. Maybe a little wee bit darker, but it's pretty much exactly what it's going back to. It's got a nice base. Everything is pretty sturdy, so it'll just be a clean strip job and stain and refinish. So let's get this thing started. Okay, so the top section's a little bit tricky to strip, but I'm just gonna actually do the whole thing at the same time. And I'm just gonna be washing that shellac off. So I'm just gonna start right at the top and get it going. And I'm just gonna soak down all the slacks. Try to get stripper everywhere. The inside of these don't have a lot of finish on them, so it won't be that difficult. Basically, you're just trying to get the finish to start loosening off of everything and floating in the chemical. And you want to keep it wet, because as soon as the stripper dries, it stops working. This stripper anyways, there are so many different kinds. Good, and then I'll just give it a turn and we'll get it on the rest. Now the reason I'm doing it all at once is because there is no way to not have runs on this piece. So runs can kind of stain when you have stripper running down a piece, it kind of stains the piece. So you want to make sure if you have something that you can't really keep the stripper off of, you just get the whole thing wet, because at least it'll all change color at the same time. I'm gonna go over every area twice, or 3 or 4 times, but I'll turn it twice. So I'll go back to the other side now. See how this is lifting, but still a little bit dry. We'll just get it all nice and wet again. You may think, oh man, she's using a lot of stripper. I would use a lot more if I didn't use it properly. Okay, we are ready to scrub. So I'm going to change from my big floppy brush to, use this guy. This is a brush I just cut so that it's stiffer, so I can really scrub the wood. So I'm going to use stripper still, because if I'm using methyl, I will neutralize my stripper right away. So I want to rinse with the stripper to keep the finish flowing. So now I'm just going to start working that finish off, brushing it off in my pail. Getting that first layer of finish to move right off of the piece. And even here, I really don't want my stripper to dry, because there's still finish that I'm working off underneath the first layer. So usually after I'm done scrubbing with my stiff brush, I'll come back with my big floppy brush and just spread it on again, just to keep it wet. But that's, I'm getting a lot of that finish off just with a brush, because my stripper is doing the work, not me. Mechanical removal on pieces that are just so intricate is impossible, and using little scrapers and tools, Dremels, and sanding, you're just gonna end up scratching and wrecking the profiles. You need your product to do the work on this kind of stuff. Okay, so I've got that all, I'm gonna soak it down so it doesn't dry on me, because there'll be at least 2 rounds of taking finish off with the brush. And we'll flip it. I'm just trying to collect it all on the brush, and then I can put it in the collection pail. Good. And we'll soak this side down again and do another turn. If I'm having to work at scraping it off, it means there's not enough stripper. Okay, now that I've scrubbed it off as much, I did it like 3 or 4 times on both sides, I'm going to turn a page here. Perfect. And then we will move on to rinsing with methyl hydrate, which we'll see a little bit more of. Okay, so as soon as I touch the areas with the methyl, it's gonna neutralize that stripper. So I'm just gonna work quickly because I don't want my finish sticking back to my wood. And I'm picking a little bit of a more full brush to hold more of that methyl to really wash everything down. This is why I like the liquid strippers too, because I can kind of do a rinse over things instead of the gel, which is really hard to wash down pieces with. Usually I'm doing this with little pieces that I can stick in a tray. I should probably make a big tray for stuff like this. Okay, now I'm just going to take it off of the messy table. Put it on the ground here. And we're just going to dry it off with a cloth. Okay, so there you can see it's all stripped, all nice and clean. And yes, I did wipe in between every single one of those. It's important to do that so you can wipe away any pieces of finish that are stuck while they're still soft. Yeah, so this will all dry and lighten up on those end grain areas there. But it's a really nice, clean surface now to start from. Looks like there's a little bit of glue residue there. But you can see that we've got, all the finish off in between everything, and there's no shiny bits left. Okay, so I've just been doing some sanding, and a lot of the wood that didn't have finish on it has kind of grayed, and we can sand down to that, but I'm actually going to use some oxalic acid here because I don't want to sand too much with this nice bead profile here. And also down here where the plant would have sat, we've got a ring going on pretty heavily here, so I'm going to try to just acid the inside of this and see how that goes, because I don't want to affect the outside too much, even though it could probably use Well, I might try to put it there too. Anyway, so I've got some oxalic acid mixed up here. And I'm just gonna do this whole top edge. And then I'll do inside as well. I just don't want to bleach out the bottom of those. Slats, because that would be not ideal. So we'll just try to keep it on the inside here. Good. So we'll let that soak and see if it affects the staining at all. I'm going to do one little section here because I know this is from water running down. So I'm just going to see if it does anything at all to this stain. Do a little test area. And if it works and makes it look a lot more even here, then I'll do this whole edge as well. Okay, so this is the next day. And the oxalic acid did really nicely at taking out that dark stain down there. I didn't do much up here for these stains that are cross here, so I didn't really think it would. It's more of a bleached out issue. Didn't really touch the staining along the side here. So I don't really know if that's really a great method there. We are going into a darker finish. If it did, I would have been able to apply it to this area here, which is quite stained as well. And I said this was oak, but it's mahogany. I don't know why I keep thinking everything is oak. It's like it just comes out before I even think about anything. Anyways, so I'm thinking I'm gonna do another coat of the oxalic acid here. And I'm actually gonna take a little brush and go in between each one because as you can see, or can you? Let's see if I can get it at an angle. Yeah, so right here is really light where we bleached, and then it goes dark, and then it's light again on the other side. So I need to, which I didn't want to have to do that, but it looks like we will. So I'll just get a small brush and put the acid in between these guys. Very carefully not to get it on the slats themselves. Okay, I got some summertime help on this project. Thank goodness for all those slats that need sanding. My daughter's in the shop here, Mila. Hi. She's doing all the hard work, sanding all of the little spindles and making sure everything looks good before we get a stain on there. And we got somebody keeping her company because, as we all know, Shop Dog is the inspector. So everything's looking real good. Mila has grown up in Grandpa's shop, and she's grown up in my shop, and she pretty much knows how to use all the tools in this place. And I often find her in here in the evening just doing something, which is so cool. I mean, a couple days ago she refinished the top of a stool
For my sewing machine.
For your sewing machine, because you needed a table, right?
Yeah.
So she's a pretty cool kid.
Yeah.
All right, well, she got work to do. Okay, so Mila finished sanding the whole stand, and now she's just doing a test area to see if we like the stain color. Do we like the stain color?
Yeah?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right, so she's going to be staining the whole thing now, and she's got a little brush because we got to go in between every single slat there and get it all stained, so she'll get to it. Yeah. And I'm so happy you're doing it, not me. Okay, so we've got the first coat of lacquer on. Everything is looking really beautiful, and most of the staining is gone. You can see a bit of it down there, but that looks pretty good. It's acceptable. A little bit of a water spot here that happened, which I'm okay with because we're actually darkening this to about that color. So we're just gonna have to be really careful with our color work around this area to hide that. Missed that when we were doing the bleaching. And everything else looks pretty good. Yeah, we're just kind of bringing it down to, we did another piece for her, a parlor table in this kind of a color here. So we really want to, although I like the lighter brown here, we kind of want to bring the variation down a little bit from this really yellow light color. So we'll be tinting that down and giving it a good sand. I'm going to let it dry for a couple hours just because it's a little bit warm and it takes a longer time for things to dry in the shop here in southern Ontario. So we'll be back out in a couple hours. And there it is, all finished. Looking real pretty. I still see that nice warm wood glowing through on the turnings. And they are butter smooth. So thanks for joining me for this little restoration, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. Just click the link in the description below and stay tuned for another video. Check out our old ones. Cheers. And don't forget to press that thumbs up button.